Okay, so right now we're going to be finishing up the last parts of the Navi that we learned earlier today. These are literally the last words in the Navi. And we learned that the Jewish people at this point faced a major issue. What was that issue? They faced the issue that unfortunately there was 200 men from the tribe of Binyamin that were still left without a wife. And they could not give their daughters over to them to get married because they made a swear that no man from Binyamin will marry our daughters. So instead, what did they do? Instead, they went ahead and they said, we are going to tell our daughters to go out to the field and that the men of Binyamin will come and take them. But we are not giving permission to the men of Binyamin to take our daughters. Rather, they will be doing it on their own, so we will not be giving our daughters to them, but rather they will be coming and taking them. And they instructed the children of Binyamin saying, go and lie in wait in the vineyards, meaning hide in the bushes of the vineyards, and see and behold, if young ladies of Shiloh come out to perform the dances, then come out of the vineyards, and each man could catch quickly his wife from the young ladies of Shiloh and go to the land of Binyamin. Now, the only issue here is like this. The major issue with this is, normally this would be a bad idea. This is not the right way to get married. But the reason they had to do it like this is they actually had to take their daughters. They could not give their daughters. So they had to make it look like and feel like and be like a kidnapping almost, God forbid. Not an actual kidnapping, but quote unquote, with fingers kidnapping. Anyway, so therefore, what did they do? They went ahead and they told these to their daughters, and they told these to the men of Binyamin. And it will be, if the fathers of their brothers come and argue against us, we will say to them, we had compassion on them for what we did to take a wife for each man in the battle of Yavesh Gilad, and you did not give them a wife, so now you are not guilty of any oath. In other words, you have to go ahead, and what do you have to do? You must make sure to take a wife from there, because we cannot give you a wife otherwise. After that, we won't be able to give you a wife. And so, as you can see over here, moved by compassion, the Jewish people imposed only 400 wives there provided during the conflict. So because of this, they said, listen, unfortunately, 400 wives was not enough for 600 men. And so instead, what did they do? They went ahead and they made it that instead of being 400 wives, there will be instead for the 200 guys that are left, we'll make sure that they could get wives as well through this roundabout way. And as you can see here, the men would be hiding behind the bushes and the women would be dancing. And as a result of this, as we're going to see, and the children of Binyamin did this, they took their wives according to their number from the dancers, and they went away. They went back to the land of Binyamin. It looks like you and I have a lot of work ahead of us building the entire tribe of Binyamin, because the entire tribe of Binyamin was destroyed. And literally 600 people out of 40,000 were left. And so now you only had 600 couples to rebuild the entire tribe of Binyamin. And as you could see over here, they were gathering together and they were walking off to get married and also to, of course, rebuild their new families. And they went and returned to their inheritance and built their cities, and they lived in them. At that moment, the children of Israel departed from there. Every man went back to his house, and every person went back to their house and their inheritance. Binyamin had to rebuild their cities since the Jewish people had destroyed everything. We are in agreement that the oath of not giving our daughters to Binyamin will only apply to this past year. Essentially, it was only a temporary swear. It was not a swear made forever. We are also in agreement that regardless of who marries into Binyamin, the inheritance along with the land shall remain with Binyamin. In other words, no land should be transferred to a different tribe. In those days, there was no king in the land of Israel. Every man did which he thought was right in his eyes. And again, that's a big premise of the entire story. Now, this boys happened on which day? I see the time. Which day did this happen on? This happened on Tu B'Av, the 15th day of the month of Av, 6 days after an extremely sad story. Now, what is that story? It's the destruction of the first and second Beit HaMikdash, and other stories that are also very depressing. But what was the first story that was depressing? It's actually this week's Parsha. And so we're going to go through it very quickly right now. On the 9th day of Sivan, of Av, the men of the Jewish people complained to Moshe Rabbeinu, saying, we don't want to go to the land of Israel. We're afraid, because the spies had gone ahead and badmouthed the land of Eretz Yisrael. So on that day, every year, when a man turned 60 years old in the desert, during the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, they would go into the grave and they would die. They would dig their own grave, they would go inside, and they would die there. Every man that turned 60 years old. By the last year, the men that turned 60, they dug their grave, and they said, we're not in the land of Israel, we're turning 60, we're going to die. They dug their grave, they went to sleep, and the next morning, they woke up. They said, hey, we're alive. They popped their heads out. They said, yo, what's happening? We're alive. It's a miracle. So what did they do? They said on the 10th day of Av, we're going to go again. So they went again. They said, maybe we miscalculated the day. So again, they went into the pit. And the next morning, they popped their heads out of the graves. You alive? You alive? Yeah, I'm alive. Cool. So they did it for 5 more days, till the 15th day. By the 15th day, they realized Hashem is being kind to them. And Hashem is going ahead and giving them the life. So that for the last group, they were able to stay alive. These old men, these 60-year-olds were able to enter into the land of Israel. Now, there is a couple notes on this that I do want to go through tomorrow. But everybody listen closely. Tonight's homework is for you to watch the video. And your English part of homework is to write down a summary in three words on this last part I just spoke about. Literally, the last 2 pages about how the men used to dig their own graves in the desert. Everybody have a wonderful day. Chazak Baruch.